Hello, learners. Welcome to my channel, Be a Learner. Today, we are going to study about work, life, and leisure, cities in the contemporary world. So, let's have a look on the introduction what this chapter is all about. In 1880, Ray wrote a novel in which Brahma, the creator of the Hindu mythology, took a train to Kolkata with some other gods. As Varuna, the rain god, conducted them around the capital of British India. The gods were wonderstruck by big modern city. The train itself, the large ships on the river gangs, factories, belching smoke, bridges and monuments, and a dazzling array of shops selling a wide range of commodities, the gods were so impressed by the marvels of the teeming metropolis that they decided to build a museum and a high court in the heaven. So this story was about 1880. The Durga Charan Ray. He wrote one novel. In that novel, the Brahma is the creator of Hindu mythology. Okay. Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. I hope you all must be knowing Brahma. He is the creator of life, it is said. So he took a train to Kolkata with some other gods. Even the Indra is known as the rain god, and the other British India gods were also there, and they got stuck in some city. The train itself, it were large ships on the river Ganges, okay, and the factories was smoking, the bridges and monuments were dazzling. So the gods were very impressed by this scenes, and then they decided that we will create a metropolis in our heaven. As God stays in heaven, so they thought that we will create a museum and teeming metropolis in our heaven. Let's see what happens next. The city of Calcutta in the 19th century was brimming with opportunities for trade and commerce, education and jobs. But the gods were distributed by another aspect of city life. It is always said that the God is only one. And when the world was created, only one God was there. But slowly, what happened? And slowly, people started worshipping different gods from their community. Like how cities were distributed as per trade and commerce, in the same way, God were also distributed. Like the god of knowledge, god of wisdom, god of money. Like that, people started distributing. But God is only one. Let us see this example in detail. But the gods were distributed by another aspects of city life. Its cheats and thieves, its grinding poverty, and the poor quality of housing for many. Brahma himself got tricked into buying a pair of cheap glasses when he tried to buy a pair of shoes. He was greatly confused by the shopkeepers who accused one another of being swindlers. The gods were also perturbed at the confusion of the caste, religious, and gender identities in the city. All social distinctions that appear to be natural and normal seem to be breaking down. I will give you an example so that you will understand this story perfectly. Like, for example, when we are visiting the shops, when we are taking something, whether it is a shoe or a dress, we tell that array in another shop I found it in very less price. So what that shopkeeper tells is, array that quality must not be good. He gives such example. My quality is very branded. You will not find it anywhere. He start giving such kind of excuses to us. Same happened with the gods. When we want money, we worship goddess Lakshmi. When we want some good wisdom, we worship Lord Ganesha. When we want power, we worship Lord Shankar. Okay, so in this different ways, we started worshipping gods. Like Durga Charan Ray, many others in 19th century India were born amazed and confused by what they saw in the cities. The cities seemed to offer series of contrasting images and experiences. Somewhere it was wealth, somewhere poverty, splendor and dirt, opportunities and disappointment. So all these things were seen by Ray, and he was very disturbed and confused. Were city always like the one described above? He thought himself that really cities are like that. Village people, they think that cities are really very lavish, luxurious, a dream come true. But really cities are like that? That was a question. Though urbanization has a long history, the modern city worldwide has developed only over last 200 years. Three historical processes have shaped modern cities. This chapter will trace some of the processes of this urbanization. It will explore how the modern city emerges and what happens within the city. So, this was all about the introduction, what we are going to study in this chapter. Now, let us begin with the characteristics of city. Please pay attention very carefully. It's very important chapter. That's why I am explaining paragraph wise so that you can be clear with your concept. As 10th standard is very important, we can't just by heart all the answers and we can't remember all the answers. So easiest way to score good marks in 10th standard is understand the concept perfectly, each and every chapter as a story. Just remember it and then you can write the paper perfectly. At least in theory subjects you can do that. So let's begin. The characteristics of the city. To begin with, how do we distinguish between cities and the hand and towns and village? It means that the question here is how we distinguish city and town, towns and villages. First, towns and cities had long river valleys during the time of Mohenjo-daro, and slowly the cities were often converted into a different place where only political power is there, administrative work is there, trade and industry is carried, and religious institutions are there. So, this all places were situated in the city, remaining part was being sent to villages or towns. Even lot of different transport you can find only in cities. If you visit to a village, hardly you can find there any trains, local trains. Cities themselves can vary greatly in size and complexity. This sentence it means that there is a lot of difference between village and city. For example, if a person stays in village and there is a birthday party, he can get good cake, good decoration for his kid. That's all. But the same person when he stays in city, he can celebrate his child's birthday in very different way. In the morning they can visit some beach, afternoon they can visit some mall, play games. In the evening they can visit some park, beaches, or even they can organize one small party in some hall. Many different halls are organizing very beautiful themes in cities. So this all things he can do in one day on a special day, that is birthday. And this all things you can't manage in villages or small towns. This is only possible in metropolis city. This chapter will discuss the history of urbanization in the modern world. We will look in detail. The first is London, the largest city in the world. It is very large city in the world. And in 19th century, the second is Bombay. Let us see how the industrialization rise in modern city. Industrialization changed from urbanization in modern period. However, even as the late 1850s, many decades from the beginning of the industrial revolution, Western countries were largely rural. Earlier, the countries were rural. Slowly, it changed and transformed into urban. Like, for example, 20 years ago, if you will think, the Kalyan, Badlapur, Ambernath side, it was like a rural area and now it has become a town. And in next coming 10 years, it will become a good city. So this transformation is taking very rapidly. Even many of your villages, earlier in the village, what we were able to find, even we didn't had gas. Okay, and now we have everything in our village. Even we have geyser at our home in villages, everyone. So this how the rural is also transforming into a good towns. The city of the London was very powerful magnet for migrant populations. Lot of people were migrating from the towns to the London city. 19th century London, says historian, was a city of clerks and shopkeepers, a small masters and skilled artisans. Slowly, they started, once they learned everything, they started their own business and it became one industrial hub. And afterwards, they got dockyards, five different types of industries. Lot of numbers of members started increasing day by day. People came there for clothing, for footwear, wood, furniture, metals, engineering, printing, stationery, and different kinds of products. And this how the London became manufacturing motor cars and electrical goods, and number of large factories increased in the London city. And this how the London was transformed from rural to urban city. This story is about 100 years ago. Next, let us see the marginal groups. As London grew, crime flourished. See, where people are rich, there crime takes place. The poor people who are not capable or who had failed, they start doing robbery, they harm the people, and then they try to get at least daily living. We know a great deal about the criminal activities in this period. For crime become an object of the widespread concern, the police were worried about the law and order. The philanthropists were anxious about public morality, and industrialists wanted a hard-working and orderly labor force. So the population of the criminals was counted, their activities were watched, and their ways of life were investigated. Like, see, where there is lot of industries, manufacturing hubs, they need laborers for working, and few laborers they were coming, working, and taking away many materials from that factories and running away. They were never found. So slowly, they were worried, and they started investigating the background of the labor, and then only they used to keep the labor on the work. And this how it got changed from investigating background to educated labor, so that at least he will not run away with the products, many of whom he listed as criminals were in fact poor people. See, in real they are not the exact criminals. They are poor, they are failed, they have failed in trying to get a good life, so they go towards this way, and at last they becomes the criminals. They cheat and trick people, pickpockets, and do thieves because they also have a family, and for that purpose they do all these things. Factories employed large number of women in late 18th century and early 19th century. With technology development, women gradually lost their industrial jobs. Earlier, women were very skilled in weaving, in threshing, and tailoring, beauty parlor. Many skills were there in women's. As the machines came or technology was invented, their value in the industrial job became very less. And they were forced to do the household work like housekeeping, taking care of the kids, and many other more as nursing. So, this was all about the London, how it was transformed into rural to urban. Remaining part we are going to see in the next part. Till then, take care, have a great time. See you. Subscribe my channel for more updated videos. Thank you.